Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric on our continuing series, First Person Funhouse, where I take a look at some of my favorite first-person games from the 90s, and today we're taking a look at Blood. Compared to Doom, compared to Heretic, this game felt special because it felt completely different, and I absolutely fell in love with it when I first played it. Before we get too far involved, I can do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out, and if you feel so inclined, we got a Patreon link down there as well if you want to support the channel. But I absolutely love the intro FMV to Blood. It's just pure 90s from start to finish. When developers felt like they needed to put some cutscenes in there, but of course 3D animation at that point in time was very janky looking. It doesn't hold up whatsoever, but it's hilarious enough with the voices that it's really fun to watch, because I remember when this game came out, things like this were highly innovative. But Blood is just an incredible game from start to finish, especially if you like Duke Nukem, if you like Shadow Warrior or Doom, this game is going to be absolutely incredible. And you will see that I'm playing it in full 16:9 with mouse and keyboard support. There's many different ways to play this game. There's different translations of it, there's different Steam versions. I will leave a link to the version I'm playing down below because what I prefer, but there are a ton of different ways to enjoy this game on modern systems. But I absolutely love how this game opens up because it really tells the story with the environment that most games like Doom, you just open up and you're instantaneously shooting something. And right in the beginning you get the flare gun and you find out that you can shoot them into the chest of your enemies, and if you wait long enough and run backwards, they are going to burst open into flame. And that was just incredible to see when it first came out in the 90s, and even still today, this game is absolutely outstanding. It doesn't feel antiquated in any way outside of being built on the build engine and being in 2D. But I mean, obviously you had Ion Fury, and that is a game that still uses the same engine with much more tricks involved in it, but it just shows how innovative and great these games were in the 90s, that people are still using the same engine to make them today. And that just goes to show how good these were back in the 90s, because if you've never played Blood before and you pick it up after this video and you play it from start to finish, you're going to enjoy it, and it's not going to feel like a game from a past era. It's going to feel like something modern that just happens to have an older graphical style, the same way that you see 2D pixel art games having a huge resurgence, and they're all modern and enjoyable, yet they look like they're made in the 1990s. But now that we've gotten past the first level here, this game, like every pretty much first-person shooter in the 90s, has different episodes, and they have different content thematically, and this game definitely has an entire range of that. But with the explodable environments, all the different secrets, this is probably my favorite first-person shooter from this era. It kind of felt like the evolution of something like Doom and Heretic, which we're going to be talking about on the channel as well, or maybe we've already talked about them. I'm never quite sure of my schedule when I do these voiceovers. But this is just one of those games, when I got this on computer, I think I probably played it within a weekend beating it, and then continued to explore and see what else I could find. It feels almost like an unofficial sequel to Rise of the Triad, because it does have the cultists, and I did feature that game on the channel as well over Christmas, so if you never checked that out, I'll leave a link below as well. But these are the games that I was basically growing up on in the 90s, because I had a PlayStation, I had a Saturn, I had a Nintendo 64, but first-person shooters on the PC gave us something that we just did not get a really good look at until we got to almost the PlayStation 2 era of games, because these are things that your consoles just could not do. The free look with the mouse obviously being a new innovation with this modification, but even then, with a keyboard, these games just played in a way that consoles couldn't keep up with. I mean, there were a few decent first-person shooter games on consoles, Power Stone on the Saturn being one of them, but PC was just littered with releases like this, and they definitely ranged from amazing like Blood to really bad like some other games I featured on the channel. But this is one of those seminal releases that I just want to keep coming back to time and time again and playing, because it holds up almost better than a lot of the games from the mid-2000s. I'd rather play this than I would play a PlayStation 2 game sometime, because all the pixel art, all the pixelation, all the different enemy sprites, they all just have so much character to them. There's so many secrets to find that you could play this game for 40 hours and still be discovering things that are new. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to let you watch a little bit of the game and hear the sound effects and soundtrack, because everything about it is amazing. I'll be back about a minute and we'll talk more about Blood. But hey, heads up, don't fall off the train.
I'm gonna paint the town red.
I just love the soundtrack in this game because it's loud and busy when it needs to be, but in something like this level right here, it's really quiet and ethereal, but yet it definitely has those horror vibes, and you combine that together with the voice actors, with the guttural moans of your enemies, with the sound effects of your shotgun or Tommy gun, and the sound in this game just absolutely drives it forward because the action is incredible. It's one of those games that's almost near perfect as far as the combat's concerned, but when you mix everything else in, even the little nods there to a carpet that looks like it's from the Overlook Hotel in The Shining, you can tell the developers at Monolith absolutely loved making this game. Now, fair warning, there is a sequel to Blood, and I just recommend you absolutely pretend that does not exist because it is just pretty bad. I played it when it came out and I was utterly disappointed, and looking back on it now, it is even worse than I remember. But the original Blood is outstanding, and I think in some ways it's better than I remember the game being, because as I was playing this for the capture, I ended up just playing the whole game again in my spare time, and of course I can't show that whole thing to you in a 10-minute video, but it's just one of those games where I decided after I was done capturing it, I was just going to sit around and continue to keep playing the game. It has so much charm, it has so much aesthetic going on, the music is great, and everything changes ever so slightly that you're always seeing something new. Now we're in a complete circus-themed area after we've come off that train, and you can kick these heads here through that mouth. I don't do a very good job doing it, and then I'm getting hacked from the back because I didn't see those enemies there, but just like Duke Nukem, this game has a lot of interactable elements that are really going to go forward and push the game into feeling a little bit more special. And that's what I enjoy about it so much, is it's constantly changing. You're getting new levels, you're getting new weapons, you're getting new episodes, the environments are constantly changing around you, and that's always a really fun thing. And you're going to see here we're going to go into the Freak House, and it just is a lot of fun. And if you love horror movies, you're going to see a lot of different references in this game. I already mentioned one to the Overlook Hotel in The Shining, but if you keep your eyes peeled, there's so many different diverse things to check out that if you're a fan of horror films, you're going to be noticing things that are coming from different properties. And it's just one of those games where you can tell the developers loved making this. They put in so much effort into it, and it still plays excellent. And like I said, you can play this on a Windows 10 machine, no big deal. This is the type of game that you can play on practically anything at this point in time, so there's no reason not to play it. And if you weren't playing games in the 90s, because I know not everyone that watches this channel is in their mid-30s like I am, you may never have heard of this game, or you may never have played it. And I can guarantee you that if you pick it up and you check it out, you're going to realize that it is 100% worth your time, because so many of the innovations in gaming, especially for first-person games, came about in the 90s when these build engine games were being developed. And I kind of wish we would get a Blood 3. I wish they'd come back to this franchise. And again, just like you shouldn't fall out of a train, don't use your rocket launcher too close to a wall because you will blow yourself up. You'll see here now we're in a monastery church environment, and it's completely different than that circus freak show we were just in, but it all ties together. But if anyone's out there, make a Blood 3. This is a franchise that deserves another entry, especially considering that Blood 2 was so incredibly disappointing. There really needs to be a strong finish to this entire franchise, because it is one that is absolutely, from start to finish, one of the best first-person shooter games made in the 90s. But short of that, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you played this game back in the day, I'd love to hear what you guys thought about it. But we will be back next Tuesday with the episode in the first-person Funhouse series of games, because I love talking about these, and I got a lot more to talk about. And we will be back on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday as well with more videos in those series. But now we have a giant skull on a stick, and this is basically our gigantic rapid-fire weapon. The weapons are creative, the levels are amazing, the soundtrack's spectacular, the enemy sprites are perfect. I can't think of a single thing to say negatively about Blood, other than the fact that at a certain point in time, it ends and you finish the game. Short of that, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week. We hope you have a great week, enjoyed the video, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.